That would be like me being on Joe Rogan. Joe don't want me on there. I need to be on Shannon. Joe got 6 comedians that never been funny. He want to push out.
Alright, so now that it's officially December, I think it's finally safe to say that 2025 has been the most destructive year for the comedians in the so-called Rogansphere. Guys like Andrew Schulz, Tony Hinchcliffe, Bert Kreischer, Brendan Schaub, and of course Joe Rogan himself. They've all taken such a massive hit to their reputations this year that literally no one takes them seriously anymore. Not just as comedians, but as people in general. Like they've all been Brendan Schaubified, so to speak, as the majority of their audiences have started hate watching their content rather than genuinely enjoying it as they did before. And now, whenever you hear one of their names come up, your brain doesn't immediately think of anything positive. Long story short, it became mainstream this year to clown on these guys. Even their own friends in the comedy world don't respect them, and have actually comfortably joked about how corny they all are all year without consequence. I mean, just last week, the comedian Nick Mullen was on Skankfest in New Orleans, speaking about a recent conversation he had with Tony Hinchcliffe, where he essentially tried to tell Tony in the nicest way possible that him and all his comedy goons have ruined the city of Austin. Also, just a side note, I believe this was a live streamed event, so just bear with all the technical difficulties they had as Nick Mullen was speaking.
Have you been back to Austin since the...
I have, yeah. It's not, it sucks now. I saw Tony Hinchcliffe the other day, and I was trying to say that to him in a nice way.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it was a cheap, fun town. He's like, yes, totally. It's an awesome place. I'm like, no, I'm saying it was. It was cool. I mean, it was a cheap place to live, and he's like, greatest place on earth. Love it. And I'm like, yeah, but... it's different now.
In a better way. It improved.
Yeah.
It got stronger.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Nick Mullen's a weird guy.
When I would be like, I was like, yeah, people from LA came and ruined it. And he's like, yeah. Where did you move from? That is the funny thing though about like the LA comics that moved to Austin, and they're like they want to get away from LA, but it's like you've now turned this into
You turned that into
you turned it into LA
with no ocean.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and demanding bums.
So as you just heard there, Tony Hinchcliffe was completely oblivious to the fact that Nick Mullen was referring to him in that convo, which seems to perfectly encapsulate one of the reasons why people have begun bashing on these guys so much more recently. Like, it's one thing to platform some of the worst comedians alive, but what makes the whole thing so much worse is that they actually think that they're blessing the comedy world somehow, and that all the criticism they get is from people who are just jealous of their success.
Your identity gets too wrapped up in conflict, and it's just like super unhealthy.
Well, we know people our age who are still doing that shit.
Of course.
Comics.
Mark Maron, don't say it.
I mean, I don't get it. You know, I'm like, I don't know.
I get it. He's sad. He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
also, he's pathologically jealous.
Like, sure, they're successful and their finances haven't taken a hit this year, but just because they capitalized on the lowest mouth-breathing section of society doesn't really make them the comedy gods that they think they are. It's almost like they all believe that their financial success correlates to their comedic ability, but it really doesn't. The only people that treat them like innovators are the same people who think yelling slurs is peak comedy. All the people who don't classify themselves as MMA Kill Tony superfans are just watching this whole ecosystem rot from the inside out. So as I said before, a lot of comedians have picked up on the overwhelming amount of clownery surrounding the guys in the Rogansphere, and in turn have started clowning them themselves. Stavros Halkias' podcast, for example, has become a haven for making fun of the Rogansphere, because if there's a funny joke to be said, it will be said. And Stavros doesn't really save anyone from getting dunked on. I mean, just the other day, a guy who's friends with all the hacks in the Roganverse, Joe List, openly mocked Andrew Schulz in the really exaggerated fake laugh that he does on Flagrant, which was quite possibly the most accurate impression of the year.
Well, there's certainly no shortage of white guys talking like black people.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. You talking about Andrew Schulz?
Podcasters.
Tale as old as time. The white boy that,
I did it. I've done this.
Andrew Schulz is another one of those guys whose reputation's taken a massive beating recently, and that's entirely his own fault. Like this entire year, Andrew Schulz has exposed himself as the biggest grifting sellout of all time, not only because he happily accepted blood money from the Saudi Arabian government in exchange for a heavily censored, government-sanctioned comedy set in Saudi Arabia, but also because of the fact that he thinks of himself as a political journalist now, a title that he shamelessly gave himself in the New York Times interview he did a few months ago, which is pretty pathetic once you learn that he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about when it comes to politics. And really all he does is glaze Donald Trump to no end, which I guess kind of worked when Trump was running for president, but now that he's in office and is impacting hundreds of thousands of families across America by the day, the shtick has completely fallen flat. Like even Schultz's co-host Charlemagne the God had to step in to put a stop to the meat riding just a couple weeks ago when Schultz was saying how funny it was when Trump put out that AI-generated video of him dumping sewage on protesters at the No Kings rally.
For my father to physically go to as a Republican, to go to a protest, very significant. And the fact that then, this guy releases a AI video of him shitting on people's heads.
That shit was fire.
Whatever. I mean,
yo, you know what's funny? We were talking
shit
about
on my
this.
parents' head is not funny.
But your dad wasn't in the video.
Okay. Well,
what are you talking about? Shitting your dad's head?
That's not becoming of a president. You don't want that.
None of it is becoming.
It's garbage.
Here's the problem.
It's garbage.
Here's the problem. Trump just got a thing where he's funny. It is what it is. We all acknowledge this. He is funny, so he gets away with shit that most people can't get away with because he's funny. But when I see the other politicians doing it, it just comes across so cringe. I don't think that they're getting the benefit.
What are you talking
He's
about?
very cringe. That's why the only one it works for is Gavin, because Gavin is actually letting people know I'm mimicking him.
It's funny how Schulz has somehow landed himself in the position where he's grifting both to the rap community and to the Trump supporters at the same time. Like that literally just describes him perfectly. And now that a lot of the comedy world has become aware of his two-faced nature, his reputation has fallen deep into the gutter. But hey, at least he's gonna milk this Akaash Singh drama for all it's worth, because this is the most attention that podcast has gotten since they interviewed Donald Trump. I mean, I guess they're releasing a podcast today where they're supposedly gonna address the whole Jaslene thing, but you don't even have to watch that to know that it's gonna be one big nothing burger.
Let's just get right into it.
Yeah. Yes.
Which frat party should my daughter avoid in the near future? I have a 2-year-old daughter. Which frat party should she not go to?
Shy should avoid Teak. Because they definitely... Why?
They make you pop that thing crazy or what?
No, because they spike the drink.
No way.
Yeah, so they got kicked off of our campus.
No
for
way.
Doing that. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Popping pussy.
Yeah.
Let's just get some definition.
Okay.
We're gonna any terms that you might need to know the actual meaning of. Alex is here to break it down.
I thought it was just like dancing, getting dressed up, and maybe that was my mistake.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that.
Look at this. Big one.
Yeah, the act of getting dressed up, looking fly as hell, wearing a minimum of 3-inch heels, preferably higher, and dancing your ass off into the wee hours of the morning. That was what I was doing.
Yeah, this is white people's definition of it. This is what you learn.
So that whole thing just stinks of the fact that they're probably gonna joke about it and then call everybody incels, and of course take Akaash's side, which is actually pretty disappointing. Like Akaash Singh has become the laughingstock of the internet, and it looks like he's gonna drag the Flagrant podcast down with him as well, because no matter what they say today, it won't take away from what everyone already thinks of Akaash. And deep down, Akaash is incredibly butthurt and sensitive about the whole thing too. So yeah, the Flagrant podcast just seems like it won't ever be the same again, which could actually be the final blow to Schultz's reputation, as the guy was already skating on thin ice before the whole Akaash thing blew up. I mean, if you've seen the Flagrant podcast subreddit recently, then you know that it's essentially just a hotspot for all Akaash Singh related events. But even before that, it was becoming more of a snark page like the Fighter and the Kids subreddit than an actual page where the fans discuss the podcast. So if anyone's experiencing the Brendan Schaub effect the most, it's the Flagrant guys. But if we're gonna keep mentioning Brendan Schaub, then I think it's only right to give a small update on his pretty depressing new life in Austin. Because it's almost been 5 months since he made his his move to Austin, and every day since then has gotten even more miserable than before. And now, in December of 2025, Brendan Schaub is essentially at the saddest point in his career as an entertainer, as he's basically just faded away into irrelevance. Like, he's become such a nobody at this point that Joe Rogan is finally comfortable having him at the mothership. But just the other week, he appeared as a guest on an episode of Story Wars, and it happened to be so boring that not even Podcast Cringe covered it, which says a whole lot. Like, all Brendan Schaub did was laugh when everyone else laughed, and mimicked the hell out of Matt McCusker. The only clips worthy of sharing is when he went on to his podcast after and cackled at the idea that he had ever been banned from the mothership, even though Joe Rogan and even Brendan Schaub himself admitted that he was banned from the mothership way back when he was still cosplaying as a stand-up comedian.
There's a lot of money in those bullshit headlines.
Yeah, man.
Like there was one on me. It was like, Brendan Schaub banned from the mothership. And then I did a show there last Thursday. Like, well, not banned, but he can only do this one. Now he's banned again. Especially now.
I heard there was a rumor you were banned from the mothership. Was that the online rumor that you were?
Imagine?
That you were? Hold on. Banned from the mothership.
Hey, can you imagine?
Did Joe Rogan ban you? Is that what I read on the internet? Hey guys, thanks so much for the edification.
Yeah.
I guess he was unbanned.
Yeah. Yeah, banned.
You were banned, huh?
Can you imagine?
Brendan Schaub apparently has been banned by Joe Rogan.
Whatever we
There has
are,
to be a standard. Someone
there has to be
have
a fucking standard.
So that's like the same thing you'll see in my comments or maybe in yours on Reddit. Like, oh, why aren't you playing the mothership, Brendan? I don't deserve to be there. And me and Rogan have had this conversation. I'm not there yet. There's guys like you, like to me, and I'm not just saying, Big J's one top 5 doing it right now. So, yeah. But so I shouldn't be there. I don't want to go there and get backlash. Like, I want, when they invite me to be a headliner, I'll know it's my time.
All right,
I don't want to recreate the Comedy Store for me.
It has been a problem, though, because there's, a lot of people want to come. And some of them are just, people are weird, like, that want a headline and that they know, like, that you're not really a headliner. Like, what are you talking about?
When he actually considered himself a stand-up comedian, he was not invited to the mothership. But now that his life is so irrelevant, it's pretty safe for him to go there. Because in reality, no one really cares about him anymore. And as insufferable as Kill Tony, Flagrant, and JRE have become, they at the very least can say that they're still pulling massive numbers. Brendan Schaub, on the other hand, has gotten so desperate at this point that fans are starting to think that he's resorted to scamming his own audience. So yeah, Brendan Schaub has hit bedrock. After all though, the only reason Brendan Schaub is even being featured in this video is because of Joe Rogan, which is really the one guy we should talk about right now. Because there can't be a video about the Rogansphere without mentioning the Grandmaster himself. Because Rogan's really the only reason why anyone even cares about the people previously mentioned in this video. He's also the reason why all of their reputations are tanking as well, as they're all attached to the hip of Joe Rogan. What you may not know, though, is that Rogan himself is attached to something too, the Alpha Guru manosphere, which was a really popular wave in the early 2020s. But now that that wave is thankfully over, people just think of all of them as the biggest jokes of all time. And as a result, he's terrified whenever one of his guests dare mention anything about the Rogansphere or the manosphere.
Out there in the streets, you should see us. We tell everyone. I give my credits. I go from the Bonfire, Legion of Skanks, and most notably, the Rogansphere.
The manosphere is a real subject. Like, people believe that it's real. That there's this, like, coalition of men, like, trying to convert young boys into the evil ways of being a man. The manosphere.
I think that's the same thing as the Rogansphere.
No, the manosphere, it's like there's levels to it. Wrong. Like, Andrew Tate's the highest level of the manosphere. Right,
of course.
Right? That's top G of the manosphere.
Of course.
If you're, like, categorizing those things, the thing that you're most terrified of is a guy like Andrew Tate.
Instead of listening to anyone's valid criticism on his impact on comedy, or even worse, the election, he just plays dumb like Tony Hinchcliffe. And instead, he's now occupied his grandpa brain with the wonders of AI. Like, there's not a single episode of JRE that goes by where Rogan doesn't mention his fascination with AI music.
they're taking 50 Cent songs.
I knew you were going to bring that. I
turning it-
heard.
You've heard Many Men, right?
Yeah, it's
Have you
incredible.
heard What Up Gangsta?
No, let me hear
No,
it.
you haven't.
The
Good.
Many Men one is fantastic.
The Many Men's amazing.
Yeah.
Which just shows you how easy it is to impress this guy. I mean, no wonder he finds his friends funny. And so recently, Rogan's actually taken this AI slop obsession even further, where he claimed that Jesus will actually return in the form of AI.
What's more virgin than a computer? So if you're going to get the most brilliant, loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God, who better than artificial intelligence to do that?
Wow.
If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus. Like all the magic tricks, all the ability to bring people back from the dead, walk on water, levitation.
So the fact that this is the dumbest thing Joe Rogan has ever said is actually quite impressive. It's almost as if the AI company that Joe Rogan signed a sponsorship deal with had something to do with it, which would explain a lot. I mean, it's not really a new thing for Joe Rogan to obey to whoever is paying him the most. And he kind of exposed this very phenomenon in his recent Theo Von interview. Because when Theo Von started speaking about things that Joe Rogan clearly had a financial connect with, Joe Rogan seemed to be visibly concerned for his safety, which actually made him push back on Theo Von.
It's sketchy times.
Well, it's sketchy times. I mean, the same company, that company Palantir, that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza, in Gaza, and they were like, you know, running all the drones and stuff like this, allegedly. If you want to,
What are you talking about? What are you saying they did?
That they had were compiling data on people that were there, and they were operating a lot of the drones in the sky that also had weapons attached to them.
Is this horseshit? Is it real? Jamie's not even willing to talk on camera. He's just he's giving
I'll
me
be
winks
quiet
and nods.
then.
I'm
But
sure they do.
But we have a
no.
They got a
listen.
big contract in America now, which is scary to me. That's what's scary to me. That a drone could go by. That maybe that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Who knows? Maybe a drone. You just have who you can even point the finger at. A bullet comes out of the middle of nowhere.
True.
That's a kind of. I'm not saying I'm paranoid about it all the time.
Against that.
I'm just saying I have.
Listen.
Okay. So
you're right. However, China's making drones. They got me.
How much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why are they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
Fuck are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What are you saying?
Huh? Talking about Israel Adesanya.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, Joseph is past the point of no return, and as a result of that, his comedy pals are too. This was the inevitable ending to it all, though. And really, it's just the result of making the least talented people more successful than they ever should have been. Like, there are other comics in the Rogansphere that weren't mentioned in this video because they're actually skilled and aren't just living off the fleeting fumes of Joe Rogan's butt crack. And their reputations are just fine. You can't really say the same for the others though. But with that being said, that is it for the video.